Okay, hi, I'm Dr. Lynn Michael. It's nice to be here again, and I'm going to tell you about our new product, Adrena Synergy Supreme. And I love the name that we came up with because it reminds me of the goddess Athena, the goddess of wisdom, courage, and inspiration. So if you're watching this video, you're probably interested in something to help your adrenals, your adrenal glands. And I'm just going to remind you that the adrenals are these glands, two small glands that sit over our kidneys that have a lot to do with producing our hormones and neurotransmitters when we're under stress. So they help regulate our energy and mood over a long period of time in relationship to how we're dealing with our life. Some of the chemicals that they produce are cortisol, adrenaline, epinephrine, norepinephrine. Even our thyroid hormones are influenced by the adrenal glands. And a lot of these chemicals are meant to be produced when we're under short bursts of stress. But again, we have these lifestyles, these modern lifestyles that tend to kind of push us and keep us in a state of stress. Probably too frequently for us to maintain healthy adrenals. So they get taxed and they use up a lot of nutrients. It's very demanding to keep ourselves in a state of fight or flight. So these adrenal glands take a toll. We can think about the impact of that in our blood sugar regulation, in our energy, in our mood, a feeling of nervousness or depletion. When the adrenal glands first become tired, often we're kind of too hyped up. Cortisol is being secreted too often. Those stress hormones, adrenaline, epinephrine are being secreted too often and keep us kind of hyped up. After a while, though, the adrenal glands get dysregulated and we get this sort of, we're either wired or we crash. And it's hard to tell when that's going to happen. It can happen in the mid-afternoon or we can get wired in the evening. As this progression of sort of fatigue to the adrenals happens, we can get just really overall depleted, have low cortisol, hard to mount a stress reaction even if we wanted to. We're just exhausted. So recovery, I've talked about in some other places on our websites, but recovery really requires an adjustment in your lifestyle. Our perception of stress, how we're handling stress, how we gauge our activities, our exercise, our workload. And so lifestyle-wise, a lot of sleep. The more sleep, the better to recover the adrenal glands. Sleep is when we repair. Healthy nutrients, all those nutrients that we need to make these neurotransmitters, to keep this sort of state of ability to respond to stress intact. But again, you have to have healthy digestion to absorb those nutrients. Gentle exercise, not big hardcore workouts. You want gentle restorative exercise like walking or yoga, deep breathing, processing emotion and having an outlet to put that emotion, whether that's talk therapy, writing, talking to a friend, contemplation, time for prayer, being exposed to things that are inspiring, being in nature. Foods often provide the nutrients that we want and need for recovering the adrenals, but often we aren't absorbing them, or our intake of the quality foods we need aren't adequate to keep up with demand. So sometimes supplementation is helpful. And as a naturopath, of course, I'm trying to supplement. That means provide in the products we use what the body isn't getting or getting enough of, and specific to what that specific system of the body needs. So Adrena Synergy is a great product in that it has a host of vitamins and herbs that are restorative. And it's designed to provide the nutrients to make some of those chemicals, but also be specific to the adrenal gland itself. The B vitamins and C vitamins are crucial to restoring the gland itself, to keep that gland healthy, to help it communicate, to help it signal to the ability to make some of these other chemicals. And the B and C vitamins are also important for our generation of cellular energy, which we call units of ATP. Each cell needs units of ATP to generate the energy to do its function, cellular respiration, the communication, the making of proteins. And those C and B vitamins really get depleted when the adrenals are. So not only needed for repairing the gland itself, but also for creating this ATP. And then amino acids are really vital, tyrosine especially, and the product is really useful to make the dopamine, to make epinephrine, norepinephrine, and even the thyroid hormone. So it provides that foundation molecule, that amino acid, in which it gets modified to make these chemical messengers. B6 is a cofactor also in the product needed to modify or I guess catalyze some of the ability to make these neurotransmitters and hormones. B6, vitamin C, zinc are really important cofactors in a lot of biochemical processes in the body, but especially the B6 for these neurotransmitters. The product has a host of herbs that are called adaptogens, and adaptogens have this ability to normalize function. That means increase it when it's too sluggish and decrease it when it's overstimulated. That's what the role of adaptogens are. And these adaptogens have been used historically in Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine for the purpose of restoring the adrenal glands. We have rhodiola, ashwagandha, American ginseng, Siberian ginseng, eleutherococcus, and they've been used for centuries, and they're all very moderating. So sometimes you want to be careful when your adrenal glands are weak not to do overstimulating herbs, because it's like your nervous system's already on edge, and if you give it a boost of too much of something stimulating, even like caffeine, you just kind of get more wired. So these are very balancing. They normalize cortisol when it's excessive. That first part of adrenal disruption is when we have too much cortisol. So they sort of balance or moderate that excessive cortisol. When the adrenal glands progress and you're more depleted in cortisol, they actually help sustain cortisol so it's not used up so quickly. And there's a lot of signaling through these adaptogens to the hypothalamus and pituitary gland, which are in the brain, sort of our first line of perception of stress, that then create down signaling hormones to the adrenals and thyroid. So these lovely herbs have that ability to help nourish and strengthen and moderate the effect of the pituitary and hypothalamus, so that, again, they're not so easy to respond. They're kind of more balanced and able to take in what's happening in a way that's calmer and can signal when you're under stress, but not too quickly. So great adaptogens. The whole formula is rebuilding versus overstimulating, stabilizing, rejuvenating, and again, it works on this whole axis, this hypothalamus pituitary axis that's so important and really is often sort of not paid attention to in people's idea about just restoring one area of the body. So the best time to use it is probably breakfast, noon, and dinner, one with each meal. Sometimes people will do 2 in the morning and 1 at lunch, 2 in the morning, 1 at dinner. You want it there when you're functioning. So I kind of do 2 doses. It's usually more successful to get 2 doses in. So 2 in the morning, 1 at breakfast, or 1 at lunch, something like that. And be consistent. Even if you're 50% consistent, you will see results over time, but it'll take you a little longer. So I'd say the more consistent you are, the faster you're going to get results. I think you'll feel the effects of it right away when you start it, but definitely it's strengthening, more balancing, and restorative to the gland over a long period of time. Make a commitment to your sleep and paying attention to your emotions. Have some self-awareness so you can start making changes in the way you respond to things. Make a commitment to your nutrition, getting rid of the high volume of caffeine, high volume of processed foods that turn to sugar really quickly, disrupt that blood sugar, play havoc with your mood. Write your goals. Decide how you're going to look and feel when your adrenals are recovered. You know, you have motivation and energy to get through your workday and do something in the evening. You are able to sleep well, you know, and wake up refreshed. You are able to say no, overcommitting yourself. Um, so take some time to do that. How will you look and feel when your adrenals are recovered? Because then what you want to do is be curious and kind of observe how you're improving. After being on the product a month, kind of look back and say, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, what was my energy a month ago? Maybe 5. And what is it now? Maybe 7. So you want to be able to look back and kind of assess for yourself how you're doing. And if you've set some goals, you know, some markers that you're better, you can kind of start looking for that. And the unconscious really likes that. It likes having something to look forward to or look toward. And we could call that hope. We could call that inspiration. But you've got to sort of set that up for yourself so you facilitate your unconscious, looking for the answers you need to get well. I can help you, your doctors can help you, your friends can help you, but ultimately you're your own physician. You're the one that's got to develop your treatment plan, look at your success, and be able to gauge it. So I'd say for most people, 1 month for every year you've had the condition is kind of a rule of thumb when you're trying to restore and heal naturally. So, you know, if you've been under a stressful period for 6 months, you probably have to, or, you know, for 6 months, maybe you'll do the bottle for a month and feel better. If you've been under stress like many people for, you know, 5 years, might take you a year or two to get better. 6 months to a year might be the time you're concerted about the product. But often you know, there'll be a sense of feeling better in yourself. Stress is ongoing though, so having a support you do off and on, you know, during stressful events is always a good idea. So get going, look for progress. We appreciate your feedback of how you like the product and how you're doing with it. You can go to our Synergy Gold Health Supplement page on Facebook and join the group, and we'd love to get your feedback, and we hope you get well. Thanks for joining us.